From the historic Emory Theater in downtown Cincinnati, on behalf of the Cincinnati Historical Society, welcome to the 4th Annual Greater Cincinnati Broadcast Hall of Fame Awards Show.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything that traffic will allow. Nowhere can you get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow. There's no people like show people, they smile when they are low. Yesterday they told you you would not go far. Last night you opened and there you are. Next day on your dressing room they hung a star. Let's go on with the show. There's no business like show business if you tell me it's so. Traveling through the country is so thrilling. Standing out in front on opening night. Smiling as you watch the benches filling and see that billing your name in lights. There's no people like show people, they smile when they are low. Even with the turkey that you know will fold, you may be stranded out in the cold. Still you wouldn't change it for a cloud of gold. Let's go on with the show. Let's go on with the show.
And now, here is your MC for tonight's program, from WKRC Television, Mr. Rob Braun.
Thank you so much. This is sort of like live television, isn't it?
Yes. It is.
You know what?
Testing you.
I grew up doing this merg, and I walked out here, and there wasn't a microphone, and I thought, how perfect.
I thought about that.
Yeah. And thank you for saving me one more time.
That's all right. I've done it for
I
years.
would have danced, but I can't.
No. We spared
All right, thanks very
Go
much.
for it.
Good evening, everybody, and can you hear me now? All right, thanks very much. I have the pleasure now of introducing to you a buddy of mine, a mentor in the news business, and a gentleman whose vision and talent and generosity to the Hall of Fame makes it possible for this to exist this evening. Very much in charge of the beginnings of the Hall of Fame, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you my very good friend, Nick Clooney is with us tonight. We are going to have so much fun. This is like old times for me, and I am just having the time of my life backstage, and when you get to see these folks, you too will enjoy your evening. I can promise you that. I'd like to say hello to the radio audience tonight, listening over WVXU Radio, FM 91.7. Thanks to station manager Jim King for broadcasting our show tonight, and for all the award-winning work that VXU Radio is doing in preserving the history of Cincinnati radio. Also, thanks go out tonight to Joyce Miller and the staff of the Cincinnati Community Video for taping tonight's show this evening and preparing it for a rebroadcast over the community access channels of Warner, and it will also be seen on TKR cable system for those of you who'd like to see yourself when you get home. I'd also like to take this moment at the beginning of our show to remember some broadcast Hall of Famers who have passed away in this past year. We're going to dedicate tonight's show to John T. Murphy, also to Red Barber, and we lost Charlie Vaughn. We will dedicate the show to their memory and the excellence in broadcasting that they represented. We will present 8 awards this evening in the first part of our show, and then some of Cincinnati's finest entertainers will perform the Broadcast Hour of Stars. And this is kind of special for me because it is a bit like reliving my childhood to be here tonight. And I have seen this show a million times, and you're going to love it. I've seen it from the backstage generally, from the time I was about 6 years old and could travel with my father, usually holding on to the hand of a cop who was watching me while my father was performing. I've seen the backstage of theaters from here to Chicago to Los Angeles to New York, and now we have it at the Emory Theater tonight for you to enjoy. I promise it's going to be something special. It was the special part of my childhood growing up. Seeing this live stage performance is just something that I cherish. I grew up around it, and I'm happy tonight to be able to share a bit of my childhood with you. We're going to get on to our first award tonight. The Best in Broadcasting Award is presented to those individuals who had a distinguished career in Cincinnati broadcasting, who have been retired from full-time broadcasting for 5 years, and receiving the Best in Broadcasting Award automatically becomes, that person becomes a member of the Greater Cincinnati Broadcast Hall of Fame. Now, to make our first presentation tonight is a buddy of mine. We worked together for a number of years. We are friendly competitors right now, and he is here tonight to present our first award. Ladies and gentlemen, from WCPO Television, Randy Little.
Carol Williams was scheduled to be here tonight, but because of a sudden illness, I will have the honor of presenting the first award tonight, and this gentleman has certainly earned the Best in Broadcasting Award. But why just stop with Best in Broadcasting? How about Best Piano Player, Best Conductor, Best Arranger, Best Composer? You know, it's hard to find someone in the world of music, it's hard to find something that Bert Farber hasn't done and done well. And he's always done it with a charm and a grace that has made him the favorite of audiences and entertainers for more than 60 years. Carol Williams has more.
Cincinnati first met Brooklyn's Bert Farber in 1932 when he came to town with the Henry Tice Orchestra. A fraternity house piano player whose parents wanted him to major in business administration, Bert's long career started at WLW in 1934 as a pianist and arranger. At WLW, he apprenticed the art of conducting under Bill Stace. Bert appeared on many shows, including An Evening at Crosley Square and his own Bert Farber Show, which broadcast from the Netherland Hotel over NBC.
Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Once more, we have the pleasure of bringing you the music of Bert Farber and his orchestra, the Farber Fingers with Tunes Latin of Manhattan, coming to you from the lovely restaurant Continental of Hotel Netherland Plaza, located just off Fountain Square in the heart of the downtown section of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Bert needed a theme for the show, so he wrote Fountain Square, which became Cincinnati's unofficial theme song. In the early 1950s, Bert moved to New York, where he worked as music conductor for the Arthur Godfrey shows, including the popular Talent Scouts show. After 8 years, he moved on to become the band leader of the famous Persian Room at the prestigious Plaza Hotel, working with such stars as Florence Henderson. In 1972, Cincinnatians happily welcomed Bert back with open arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the newest member of the Cincinnati Broadcast Hall of Fame, Mr. Bert Farber.
Let's go back to the video where I looked a little bit younger than I am tonight. And all these young fellows could be my grandchildren. That's not funny. I want to thank you so much and acknowledge with my deep gratitude this award from the Historical Society of Cincinnati. There are so many people I have to share it with, as you can imagine. I joined the staff at WLW in 1934. I took the place of a gentleman whose name was Bob Trendler, and he went to Chicago, and I was lucky enough to be asked to come there and work. There were so many credits, you know. I've been in this business for over 50 years, and the key to longevity is friendship. Began with people like Jimmy Shouse and Bob Dunville from WLW. I hope some of you remember. Then I went to WSAI with Bob Sampson, who was the general manager of the station when Marshall Field bought it. After that, I went to WNOP for Jim and Annie Lang, a darling couple whom I understand are still living over in Kentucky. And then I went to New York. And a lady here whom well, there's so many. Some of you may know Mrs. Hubert Cockwitz at the Conservatory. And I don't want to bore you with all my personal life, but she's the lady who recommended me to Jane Froman, who wanted a popular pianist to play for her at the Taft when the movie With a Song in My Heart was premiered. It was based on Jane Froman's life, and of course, she worked at WLW, and when she sang Smoke It's in Your Eyes, tears would come to your eyes. She was really something. Another lady whom you remember helped me when I got to, Mrs. Cockwitz recommended me to Jane Froman, and I went to New York. The next person who helped me was a dear friend of yours and mine, and that was Betty Clooney. Betty Clooney. And so there are so many others. I just don't want to bore you with any more. But again, I want to thank you so much. I'm glad I'm here to enjoy it. I had a birthday last week. It's 8-0, but we keep it a secret and we just go backwards. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, my friend and colleague from WLW Television News in Cincinnati, here's Courtis Fuller.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, isn't this just a great night? I am so excited about this. Really having the opportunity to rub shoulders with a bit of history makes me understand why I love this business so much. And it's a real honor for me, a privilege for me to present this next award. Working at WLWT, my boss is Walter Bartlett. This is what he says of our next award winner, Mr. William J. Bill McCluskey. He says, Bill was the best overall marketing man I've ever known. And those words from Walter Bartlett qualifies us to induct this person into the Hall of Fame. But let me tell you a little bit more about the best marketing man in our business. Bill McCluskey started work in broadcasting in Pittsburgh at KDKA Radio in the 1920s as an Irish tenor. From there he moved to Chicago and WLS, where he became famous as the Stranger. In Chicago, Bill met and married Millie Goad, half of the famous singing team of Millie and Dolly. For many years, Bill worked on air as a singer and MC at WLS before moving to Cincinnati in 1937 as host of the Boone County Jamboree, the radio predecessor of the popular Midwestern Hayride. But Bill's ability to discover and develop talent soon led to the end of his on-the-air work and his move to behind the scenes. Bill possessed skills diverse enough to produce, sell, and advertise. At first, his specialty was country and western programming, what used to be called hillbilly music back then. Bill scouted and discovered so much talent, including the fabulous Bonnie Lou.
Let me know if you are still doing fine. Kind of mention if I'm on your mind. Honey, drop me a line.
And he produced so many shows, that for a while Cincinnati challenged Nashville for country music supremacy.
At that old dance hall where they were having a ball, they were doing a mambo. What the heck is a mambo? They were doing a mambo.
In the TV era, Bill worked in sales, promotion, marketing, and talent development for shows like the Midwestern Hayride, the Ruth Lyons 50-50 Club, the Paul Dixon Show, and the Bob Braun Show. And when it came time to retire, well, Mr. Bartlett just would not let him. Bill continued as a consultant for multimedia and also found time to nurture what has become a community tradition, a tradition that he started, the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade.
We have a lot in common. I grew up in Pittsburgh, listened to KDKA radio all the time. And believe it or not, I started my broadcasting career in country and western music at a station up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm still working on the Irish tenor part. You have to help me with that. As I was putting together that piece, it really touched me because it made me realize how much of an impact you've had on this town. Nearly half a century, commitment and dedication. 52 years, he says. With that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next honoree, Bill McCluskey.
I want to thank everyone here tonight for this great honor that's bestowed on me, and it really makes me feel good about the 52 years I was in this deal. 9 with WLW Radio, where we started the Hayride and a lot of other things. 43 years on WLW television, and he's still the greatest guy in the world, Walter Bartlett, my real buddy. Thank you all for this wonderful night. God bless you.
I tell you what, this is a special night. I roamed the halls of Channel 5 when I was a kid, and Mr. McCluskey would say, "Hey, kid, how you doing?" "Hi, Mr. McCluskey. Nice to see you. Congratulations. I'm happy for you." Our next award presenter has been in the business and on the air in this town for 20 years already, and if he'd retire, we'd put him in the Broadcast Hall of Fame. But he's still on the air every day, and I'm happy, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you from WGRR Radio, Mr. Chris O'Brien.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't plan to retire anytime soon, Rob. I did get a heck of a deal on a Craftmatic adjustable bed at the reception tonight. I won't tell you who set that up for me, but you may have heard of him. You may not recognize the name of our next award winner, but believe me, without him, you would not have heard many of the great stars, in fact, probably all of the great stars we have come to know and love over the years. Dick Shank worked as a broadcast engineer with WLW for 43 years. A very important person, a lot of impact for this man behind the scenes, so to speak. 43 years. It was a career that began almost at the dawn of radio in Cincinnati.
Good evening, friends. It's time for the WLW Spotlight to shine again.
WLW had been on the air just 5 years when Dick Shank began his distinguished career in 1927. Originally hired to test Crosley radio sets, Dick's natural engineering talent soon marked him as a man who could design and build state-of-the-art equipment. In today's ever-changing world of high technology, It's easy to forget those early days of broadcasting when you didn't just walk to a store and buy equipment off the shelf. Stations had to improvise and create solutions to perplexing new technical challenges. And no one was better at solving problems than Dick. From microphones to turntables to control panels, Dick was an engineering genius.
Would you be interested in knowing that that was a toilet bowl?
The microphone was a toilet bowl?
I mean, the case of it was.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, because...
Well, I wanted to build a microphone, and I didn't know what to put it in. And I just happened to see an old toilet bowl laying there. It was made out of copper. And I said, well, why don't I make it out of that? So I went down to the purchasing agent and told him to buy 12 of them, which he did. And I cut the front end out of it and fastened a piece of tubing in it of brass, soldered it in, and I put the microphone in it, and I mounted the amplifier behind it.
When WLW moved its studios to Crosley Square at 9th and Elm, Dick led the way designing and building the master control room and 10 studio control rooms. He also designed and supervised installation of the audio equipment for Voice of America during World War II. The Mills brothers, Jane Froman, and Peter Grant. Dick was the man behind the microphone. Dick's last day at WLW was June 30th, 1970. Even then, he engineered a landmark event, the broadcast of the first game from the new Riverfront Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, with 43 years in the business, a career that spans 6 decades, this Best in Broadcasting Award goes to WLW engineer Dick Shank. Dick, turn around here. Let everybody see. Could you turn around? There you go. Like to say a few words, Dick?
I beg your pardon?
Like to say a few words? You were behind the microphone, I forgot.
I was behind the microphone, yes.
Congratulations, Dick Shank, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, one of our latest winners.
Before I introduce our next presenter, I'd like to give you a bit of an update on the efforts of the Historical Society to preserve our local broadcast history. For many years, the Society has collected radio and television recordings, and earlier this month, under the leadership of the new broadcast archivist Cynthia Keller, the Historical Society formally opened the Greater Cincinnati Broadcast Archives. Approximately 100 radio and television programs are available for the public to watch or listen to, and Cynthia says that ultimately there will be thousands of programs and millions of feet of news film and tape preserved in the archives. Your support of this Historical Society through events just like this one tonight will allow the archives to continue to collect and preserve Cincinnati's broadcast history, including the efforts of those that we are here honoring tonight. Now, our next presenter is likely to find herself well represented in those broadcast archives. She is part of a great tradition at WEBN Radio and a member of one of Cincinnati's foremost broadcast families. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Robin Wood.
Blinding lights. I'm always kind of surprised at these things that you can't see a single person in the audience because the lights are too bright. But I assume you're out there. I can hear you. In 1951, a vivacious young singer named Marion Spellman appeared as a guest on a WLW television program. Among those who thought she was terrific was the hostess of another WLW program, Ruth Lyons. "Let's book her on the 50-50 Club," said Ruth. And for the next 24 years, Marion Spellman entertained TV and radio audiences throughout the tri-state. Marion Spellman grew up in Corryville, but didn't really consider becoming a professional singer until she was in her mid-20s. At that time, she began taking voice lessons, auditioned for, and landed a few personal appearances. And then came the big break at WLW with the 50-50 Club. Ruth and her audiences loved Marion's classically trained voice. Marion loved the outgoing spontaneity of the show. Marion felt right at home with the ad-lib bantering and soon became the unofficial comedienne of the 50-50 Club. When it came to spoof numbers, Marion had no equal. A measure of her vocal and comedic talents is the fact that her signature song became Secondhand Rose. A testament to her versatility was the fact that her second most popular song was the Star-Spangled Banner. When Ruth Lyons retired, Marion continued with the program, serving as co-host with Bob Braun and standing in for Bob when he had to miss the show. Marion retired from daily TV in the early 70s, but remains in demand for appearances around town, and for the past several years has continued to serve the community through her position as coordinator for the Ruth Lyons Children's Christmas Fund and Cancer Program. Thank you, Marion, for the many wonderful memories, for a quarter century of music and fun that Cincinnati will always treasure. It's now my pleasure to announce the newest member of the Cincinnati Broadcast Hall of Fame, Marion Spellman.
What an honor this is for me. I really so appreciate it. I was so happy to know that Bill McCluskey was here today. I can't see you, Bill, but I know you're out there. Oh, there you are. Well, who can see anybody out there now? The lights are kind of blinding. But it was an honor for me to be on the Bob Braun show and the Ruth Lyons show. Getting to know Ruth was certainly a treasure, and Bob too, and Dixon. They were marvelous performers, and I think you really kind of appreciate them more when you're away from it, because you look back and everything is is wonderful. We always had a good time, and we worked hard. We did many, many shows a week, but we enjoyed it very much, and I certainly enjoy this. Thank you very much.
Here to make our next presentation tonight is a man who began his radio career in this area in the 1940s. He is already a member of the Broadcast Hall of Fame and one of the most gracious gentlemen that you will ever meet in this world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly a pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Ernie Waits.
Thank you so much, Rob. Well, ladies and gentlemen, last year I was honored by the Broadcast Hall of Fame Committee for the contributions that I helped to make in the world of broadcasting. Significantly, it recognized a step toward the removal of racial barriers and the opening of opportunities to African Americans in the field of broadcasting. Tonight, I have the distinct honor to present another African American, a man who was my friend, and a man who later became an on-air personality in Cincinnati, and whose contribution to radio and early television simply must not go unnoticed.
His name was William Simpson Fields, but to those who knew him on air, he was known simply as Bill Fields. A native Cincinnatian and graduate of Withrow High School, Bill Fields' broadcast career at WCPO Radio in late 1949. On radio and as one of Cincinnati's earliest television personalities, Bill was famous for his smooth and elegant delivery and for his flawless grammar and syntax. The Bill Fields Show was an early showcase of jazz programming and offered listeners samples of both traditional and modern jazz music. Count Basie, Charlie Parker, the Thelonious Monk, Billy Eckstine, Sarah Vaughan, and Stan Getz all were heard regularly on the Bill Fields Show. In later years, Bill moved to new markets and won audiences in Chicago, Nashville, and St. Louis. Moving in new directions, Bill later produced several documentaries, including the pioneering racial examination, A Man Called Boy. From 1981 to 1984, Bill collaborated on several audio projects with his youngest son, John. He, too, is a fellow broadcaster. In March of 1986, Bill Fields died, leaving an important legacy that set the stage for many others to follow.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks to the Cincinnati Broadcast Hall of Fame for the privilege of introducing Cincinnati's latest member, inductee into the Broadcast Hall of Fame. And now here to receive the award for her late father is Judy Fields Haley. Will you come forth, Judy?
Thank you. This is a great honor for me and my sister, Tisa Fields Wilkerson, and my brothers, Mark and John Fields. And they helped me tonight in thanking all of you for remembering my father. Thank you.
Our next presenter is a buddy of mine. He knew before, in fact, before I told my father that I wanted to be involved in television when I was running restaurants years ago when I thought I had already lived a television life. I went to Bill Myers and I said, "Can you teach me how to do this?" And Bill Myers sat in an audio booth with me before I admitted to anyone that I wanted to try and do television, and went hour after hour after hour after hour and taught me a lot of what I know today. And he is our next presenter. He is a friend of mine and an all-around good guy, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Bill Myers.
Thank you. He makes it bigger than it was. All he needed was a little push, just like his dad. Tonight, I'm very pleased to be able to present a new category of awards for the Broadcast Hall of Fame. It's called the Cincinnati Choice Awards. It's for the favorite radio personality and the favorite television personality of the year 1993. And so the people of Cincinnati were asked to make their choice among the present people on the air today in broadcasting both radio and television. And they responded with hundreds of votes. And so it's a real pleasure tonight to be able to make the first award for the Cincinnati Choice Award. For Outstanding and Favorite Radio Personality for 1993, the winner is from WCKY, Mike McMurray.
This isn't a radio studio, so I'm not sure I can really handle this. No, this is great. You can't see anybody. This is really a treat. I've spent 27 years in the business, and this is the first award, not actually an award, I should say thank you to the people who voted for me. But this is a real treat because I was born and raised in Middletown, Ohio, and everybody you're talking about I knew. Not personally, but I grew up with them, watched them, and enjoyed them. And working in Cincinnati has been a real treat the last few years, and I just want to thank everybody, including the Cincinnati Historical Society and those who voted for me. This is terrific. Thank you.
Now you see what he looks like. Good-looking guy. All right. Well, the next part's a little easier because you know what this person looks like. Of course, you don't know who it will be. The Cincinnati favorite television personality for 1993 from WLWT, Courtis Fuller.
I wish my mom was here because she's never seen me speechless. Wow. This is very humbling. And most people who know me know that I'm pretty emotional. Standing here tonight with people like Bob Braun in the audience and Nick Clooney, the fact that I can call Nick Clooney a friend is amazing in and of itself because I've admired him so much. I'm not originally from Cincinnati. I came here 5 years ago, and listening to Mr. McCluskey talk about Walter Bartlett, I have to thank all of the people over at Channel 5, especially Mr. Bartlett, because they've had a lot of faith in me. And I've just tried to respond by going out and being involved in our community and saying thank you to people in this city. This is a great town. This really is a great town. And thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Well, as is the case with live goings-on, there are also, or always, rather, crises to deal with. And many of you saw my wife dash out of here a little while ago. Lightning struck our house, and then struck our babysitter, and then smoke's coming out of the wall. So the fire department came, the life squad came, and for those of you who knew what was going on, I will calm you now to tell you that everything's fine. So I feel better. To say the least, I was just a little bit nervous about that, but my pop always taught me the show must go on, so here I am. I thought of a lot of mushy things to say about my pop because he's the next award winner. We are a very emotional bunch, and I'm not going to be emotional here tonight. I'm going to tell you something that I think epitomizes what he is to me. And that is the fact that when I got trouble at home, this stops, the stuff backstage stops, the show stops, and he's helping me. That's my pop. He is the man I admire most in this world. And here's what he's done.
Since the age of 13 in Ludlow, Kentucky, Bob Braun was always interested in a broadcasting career. His long professional career began at WCPO television in Cincinnati.
The Dottie Mack Show with Bob Braun and Colin Mail. Two guys and a doll.
Trouble spending money and eating caviar. I don't pay tax because that's chicken feed.
After winning Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts as a singer and subsequent appearances on the Arthur Godfrey Show, Bob joined WLWT in Cincinnati as co-host of the Ruth Lyons 50/50 Club. He also hosted his own early bandstand show for teens at McAlpin's on television and radio. Before taking on duties as full-time host of the 50/50 Club in 1966, Bob hosted an extremely popular afternoon program at WLW with sidekick Rosemary Kelly called The Bob Braun Show. Filling Ruth Lyon's shoes was no small challenge, and it is a credit to Bob's talent as a host and entertainer that the new Braun and Company show lasted 18 years.
Rosie's going to be at Chilito's after a while. I want to bring that up again because I think you're going to want this album. It really is truly great. Later on today's program, we're going to talk about Rosie and her trip with Bing and some of the experiences she had that last trip that they made overseas.
The live audiences loved him, and the guests appreciated the opportunity to promote books and movies and albums. And so did the show's many sponsors, who Bob sincerely and adeptly plugged throughout the program. In addition to his television work, Bob recorded over the years 20 albums and over 100 singles, and made guest appearances on programs ranging from The Young and the Restless to Murder, She Wrote to Die Hard 2.
There's a smile on my face for this whole human race.
The winner of 3 Emmys, Bob Braun, singer, talk show host, interviewer, and commercial announcer, is still hard at work today in California.
It's almost like being in love.
This is generally a very serious moment, but after seeing that pantomiming pop on Dottie Mac, I don't know. That, sir, was great television. I want you to know that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is truly my pleasure to introduce to you my pop, Bob Braun.
Thank you. It's good to be back home. For a while, I thought I was at the Walter Bartlett Show. And I got to add my 2 cents worth, too, because it was he who hired me at WLWT. And it was he who broke the news to me that Ruth was retiring and that I was to be named her successor. And I had 18 wonderful years, and I am very grateful to Walter and to the people at WLWT for the opportunity, as well as the start that Mort Waters gave me when I couldn't ad-lib a belch after a Hungarian dinner. He hired me there to learn how to talk and gave me the first opportunity to be on television, and I'll always be grateful to Mort and WCPO as well. It's really fun to see all the people. This afternoon, rehearsal was to be an hour. We were all here 3 hours because we spent too much time talking to one another and having a good time. And it was, by the way, it was Frankie Lane that I was pantomiming on that. when I left WCPO and went to Arthur Godfrey's show in New York, and they hired me at WLW from there, and I came back home, I started to sing on Ruby Wright's program first, and then Marion Spellman had me on her show. And after being at WLW for about 6 weeks, Ruth Lyons invited me to be on her program, and I was excited about that. And after I was on Ruth's show that day, they got a call into her office, and they said, could I speak to Bob Braun, please? And so they gave me the phone, and I said, hello. I said, Bob, you know, I liked you a lot better at WCPO because you always sounded different every night, but now you sound the same. Maybe they got different microphones over there. They can't understand why you don't sound like Frank Sinatra and Eddie Fisher anymore. You know, to see Dick Shank here today, I worked with him from about 1966 until he retired, and after he retired, he put together an audio tape of some songs that I had recorded and excerpts from many programs, and I really cherish that, Dick. I still have, you sent me a couple of them, and I still have both of them, and I appreciate you and your talent for what you did there, too. Then, as I always called him, the grand old man of radio and television, to be on the stage and in the same theater with a man like Bill McCluskey is something that is, well, I don't want to cry, but he kept me on the air when Ruth retired.
they were about ready to throw in the towel after the first 13 weeks, and Bill McCluskey said, why the hell don't you let him stop trying to replace Ruth Lyons and be himself, and I think I could sell that. And he devised a sales scheme that kept us on the air for 18 years. And Bill, it's good to see you. You know, where do you begin to tell people thanks? All those people you're going to see on the stage here are those who made our show. And those behind the scenes are the ones who kept it on the air. So, at the risk of forgetting someone, I'm not going to get here with a long list of names to bore you with, but each of you know who you are and what you have meant to me over the years. And I'm just thrilled of one thing, that my mom is able to be here tonight, and my wife as well. When the Historical Society called and then later wrote a letter and told me that I was to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was very thrilled and got on the telephone and told about everybody I knew out on the West Coast. I said, guess what? And I was excited about it, and not nearly as excited as I am right now at this moment, because it's so much fun to come back home. You in California can live next to Robert Redford and nobody gives a darn. You could go to the same car wash and the guy might watch your program every day, but the last thing he would ever say is, I watch your show. Mainly because out there are no people in other occupations. Everybody's an actor. You get in a cab to go to the airport and they say, didn't I see you on Die Hard? Yeah. He says, well, you know, I was in, and then he gives you his list of credits and a card in case you ever have anything to do with the production and they need somebody to do what they do. It's fun out there, and it's been a real experience to be in a different phase or style of the show business. And you know, one of the things I found out when I got there, you get paid for doing this out in California. I kind of feel like Ted Kluszewski, when the ball players came along a little later in life, I don't think he made over $40,000 a year as one of the greatest ball players who ever played. Pete Rose was lucky he broke $100,000. Now you bat .240 and get caught stealing 35 times, you're $3 million a year. But time goes on, that's the way it happens. But getting back to the award, I do appreciate it, and one of the things I appreciate about it, it brought Regine and me back for a weekend here in Cincinnati and a chance to renew old acquaintances. And when we had our rehearsal this afternoon, it was really like old times. You close your eyes and there's Bonnie Lou looking like she always did. There's Colleen Sharp singing like she always did. It was really fun to be in a city that was at that time alive with live television. And now to... Now, when you look at it, it's a whole different ballgame, even on the network. It would be so nice if maybe the Tonight Show would maybe not have so many comedians on and have a singer once in a while, or have some live music once in a while, instead of just one person's problem after the next on the talk shows. You can wake up in the morning and feel great, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you think the whole world's going crazy. Wouldn't it be nice in the middle of that would be an oasis somewhere? About the closest thing on the air to that today is Kathy Lee and Regis Philbin. I think their show is entertaining. Not my brother slept with my mother's husband on the night they were, whatever those things they have. It was weird. I'm just grateful that I don't have to do that. But at any rate, I thank all of you who especially came tonight to see Regine and me. I thank you very much for the courtesy that so many of our personal friends showed up here tonight. If you have more than one, you're a rich person. I learned that a long, long way ago. I thank you very much, and now in just a minute we're going to get on with the show, and as Rob promised you before, oh, and by the way, when you saw him and me run up the aisle back there, lightning had just struck his home. That was not a joke. And he said, what should I do? And I said, send your wife home, let her take care of it. You got a show to do. Should never have smoked that cigarette with Bill Clinton. I knew I shouldn't have done that. Rob, are we ready with the show back there? I got a couple of things here.
Back doing what you always did now, huh?
Carrying chairs.
Carrying chairs, here we are. I can get one. Well, and you don't get a microphone either. Look, I did something for you. I wanted you to feel extremely comfortable. Now I have Mike sells potato chips. I have puffs. I have joy. I have Dove. I have Santa Flush. What do you think? How am I doing?
Oh, you're doing great.
Oh, and I have what? What was it called years ago?
Toilet paper.
Toilet
tissue.
Toilet tissue, yes. Now it's toilet paper. We can say anything we want to. Coffee, Maxwell House coffee. Are you getting more comfortable?
Yeah, even though it's good to the last drop.
That's it. That's exactly right. I got, what's this stuff? You know.
New Soft.
Fabric softener. I got all kinds. Even the bubbles taste better, Bob.
Coca-Cola was on for years.
Tide. I got Oreos. And you know, Dad never would allow his show to advertise something unless my mother approved it. And we always wondered how you guys did this Gas X stuff.
Rob, see those two chairs right there? You're looking at your college education right there. I had no... Hey, Bill, you sold all those on the program, every last package up there on the stage. You used to have me talk about Oreos, or the kid will eat the middle of an Oreo first and save the chocolate cookie outside for last. Remember that? We went to the Cincinnati Zoo one time to do a special commercial for Nabisco. And when we got up there, we gave a couple of the monkeys in the cage Oreos. You know what they did? Twisted them, took the half, and ate the white on the inside. If you wonder what we're clowning around and doing this for, we're vamping until we get to the next part of the show ready to go.
And you know what?
What?
We've done it. How did we do? Thank you.
You're going to have to forgive my burst of pride as one by one we bring these people out here to entertain you tonight, because each one brought something unique to television in this broadcast area of the United States. Each one. And they are all gathered here tonight, everyone who could possibly make it. And each one is probably doing something else now in addition to singing. Like Colleen, for example, came into us one day. She said, Bob, she said, I found the Lord, and I'm going to leave your program, and I'm going into religion. And I said, Colleen, don't leave. We can do something religious every day. She said, yeah, I know, Smart Lake. Take up a collection. But she did leave us for that, and has really been dedicated to Christ in those years that have ensued after that. And I really admire her because she was dead serious about it when she decided to do it. One of the cutest girls, the first time I saw her was in Dayton, Ohio, and she was singing in front of this band up there at Hobart, not Hobart, well, it doesn't matter, to one of the arenas up there. And I was next on the show, and I saw her from the back. She's just as pretty from the back as she is from the front. She keeps time like this. And I imagine even though she's now a preacher, she still does. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Colleen Sharp. Where are you, Colleen?
What a day this has been. What a rare mood I'm in. And it's almost like being in love. Isn't this fun? I have a smile on my face for this whole human race. And it's almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. All the music of life seemed to be like a bell that is ringing for me. That I feel when that bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. Yes, it's almost like Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. One day about 11 o'clock in the morning, I was in the office, and a friend of mine said, you got time to see me for a few minutes? And I said, sure, come on in. He brought this beautiful little girl with him, and he was in charge of the talent for the Holiday Inns around this part of the country. And her name was Nancy James, and he said she sings every night at the club on top of the Holiday Inn. And he said, I think you ought to hear her because you might want her for your show sometime. So without music, without a pianist, without even a guitar, with nothing except a great voice, she stood in front of my desk and sang a song. We put her on the air that day, and following the program at 1:30, we hired her. You're about to see why. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Nancy James.
Dear Mr. Gable, I am writing this to you, and I hope that you will read it so you'll know. My heart beats like a hammer, and I stutter and I stammer every time I see you at the picture show. I guess I'm just another fan of yours, but I thought that I'd write and tell you so. You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I want some love, that's true. Indeed I do, yes I do. You know that I do. Give me, give me, give me what I cried for. You know you've got the brand of kisses that I'd die for. Made me love you. Clang, clang, clang went the trolleys. Ding, ding, ding went the bells. Zing, zing, zing went my heartstrings. When I saw him, I fell. He tipped his hat and then took a seat. He said he hoped he hadn't stepped upon my feet. He asked my name, I held my breath. I couldn't tell him 'cause he scared me half to death. Oh, buzz, buzz, buzz went the buzzers. Clop, clop, clop went those wheels. Stop, stop, stop went my heartstrings. As he started to leave, I took hold of his sleeve with my hand, and as if it was planned, he stayed on with me, and it was grand just to stand with his hand holding mine till the end of the line. Weep no more, my lady, sing that song again for me. So soft and low, just as though you had on your knees. A million baby kisses I'm gonna deliver, so many that you'll sing at Swanee River. So rock-a-bye, you'll rock-a-bye, baby, with a Dixie melody. Is bitter, the stars have lost their glitter, the winds grow colder, and suddenly you're older. And all because of that man that got away. Ever since this world began, there ain't nothing sadder than this one-man woman looking for her man that got away. birds fly beyond the rainbow. Why, oh why can't
Nancy James, ladies and gentlemen. Think about Nancy. How about you? Would you have hired her that day? And she sings just as well today. Now married, settled down in Cincinnati, and has 2 beautiful children, and she still does sing around town and around the tri-state area. Clifford used to admire him because Ruth Lyons on her program would say to him, Clifford, I was on the way to work today and in the back of the cab, and I thought of this tune. Play it for me. What? The tune I thought of in the cab on the way to work. All the Christmas songs that you hear when they raise money for the Ruth Lyons Children's Christmas Fund were written by Ruth, and she wrote a lot of other tunes too, like about October, wasn't our drummer short, or it wasn't the summer short, and a lot of those songs. And Clifford made the arrangements and also put the notes, the music down on the paper, or they never would have been written. And Clifford, probably one of the most unsung heroes in the world in that department, but he was the brains behind that music. You know, and it's a good thing that I'm a Presbyterian, because I have no rhythm at all. And this man used to say, 1, 2, 3, now, Bob. And sometimes when I would be doing a number on the show, I would glance over at Clifford, and people thought I was admiring him. They started to worry about us for a while. But I'd look over to Clifford, and what I was looking for was a... And he also made all the arrangements for all the personal appearances we made around town. And Clifford, I think it's high time we turned the spotlight on you. Ladies and gentlemen, a graduate of Juilliard. Can you imagine that, winding up with us? A graduate of Juilliard. He is a fine pianist, author, composer, and an all-around good guy. Here is Mr. Cliff Lash. Cliplash. Gene Wilson on the bass and Ron McGurney on the drums. Nice job, guys. By the way, I know it's rather personal, but Jennifer made it back, and everything's fine at home. Just a little smoke on the wall, and she.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, Bill. Aren't you supposed to be at it used to be WMLX?
That's BND now, Bob. But I played your record today. Remember? Da 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 dum ba dum. I don't sing, do I? Sorry.
Never held me back.
I didn't say that, Bob. I just came out to make a disclaimer about the lightning in Rob's house. That weather problem, I'm totally unrelated. I was off duty tonight. It's not my bailiwick.
You still got that Superman suit that you changed into in that telephone booth at 9th and Elm?
I do, and I got the videotape of it, too, for sale, $19.95 plus $3 shipping.
That's my job now, Bill. Could I interest you in a nice Craftmatic bed?
Sure, why not, Bob? I buy everything you sell. I had noticed one thing you was missing out there was the Roach Motel. That was always one of my favorites.
Yeah, mine, too.
I saw the bushes rattling back there, and I hope there's not a gorilla. I just thought I'd double check with you. I think you should sing a song, and you wouldn't do it on your own, but I thought I'd do it on behalf of the...
You did,
huh? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
God bless you, and congratulations.
Oh, I'll sing you to sleep after the lovin' with a song I wrote yesterday. I hope you can hear what the words and the music have to say. It's so hard to explain everything that I'm feeling. Face to face, I just seem to go dry. I love you so much that the sound of your voice can make me high. Thanks for taking me on a one-way trip to the sun. And thanks for turning me into a someone who will sing you to sleep after the lovin' and brush back the hair from your eye. The love on your face is so real that it makes me want to die. Oh, I know my song isn't saying anything new. But after the lovin', I'm still in love with you. Thanks for taking me on a one-way trip to the sun. And thanks for turning me into a someone who will sing you to sleep after the lovin' and brush back the hair from your eye. The love on your face is so real that it makes me want to cry. Oh, I know my song isn't saying anything new. But after the lovin', I'm still in love with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, thank you, you're very kind. Do you know that evenings like this cause you to think back and look in retrospect of what transpires over the year? And many, many years ago, the year was 1957, Bert Farber made the arrangement that I did on the Talent Scout show. And because I was on the air here and couldn't get off work until when I went up there on Monday morning to be on the show Monday night, Bert made that arrangement on All the Things You Are for me over the telephone. And I've been very grateful to him because he really helped me win the Talent Scout show that night with that beautiful music. It really made me inspired. And Bert, I really appreciated that a lot. When I got to WLW, I met with Bob Dunville, who was a wonderful man, and he said, well, you're here now, Bob. We don't know what we're going to do with you. We really don't have a show to put you on because everything's all filled up. He said, but we'll find something. So they gave me an afternoon show called Drive. It was a drive time record show. And then Ruby Wright saw me in the hallway that second day I was working there. She said, hey, I got a show on Tuesday and Thursday nights. I could sure use a male vocalist. And she put me on her program, and that was my debut on Channel 5 in Cincinnati. And over the years, we have become very, very fast friends. I couldn't love her anymore if she were my real sister. And I'm very, she says, Mother, Ruby, cut it out. You like the suit, Ruby? I got to have this back at Skeffington's by 11:30. So would you please welcome one of the great ladies of television and song, Ruby Wright Rapp.
It's very clear our love is here to stay. Not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies and in time may go. But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long way. In time the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble. They're only made of clay, but our love is here to stay. Clifford? Couldn't live without Clifford. Really? But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble. They're only made of clay, but our love is here. Our love is here. Our love is here to stay. Thank you so much. Thank you. And where's Bob? Thank you, Bob. I can't see you. Thank you. So much.
She's something else, isn't she? Ruby Wright. Hey, Ruby, remember that song you taught me on the bus at the Ohio State Fair? Please play for me that sweet melody called Doodly Doo. Remember that? Yeah, did you do it tonight? You didn't do it tonight. Come over here for a second, will you? You know, when I worked at WCPO, in addition to doing station breaks in the announce booth and pantomiming Frankie Lane's records, I used to also run camera. And Ruby came over to be a guest on Bill Dawes' program one day, and that's when you had Thanks for the Buggy Ride out.
Right, I did.
And
we did all the acting those days, do you remember?
Oh, and did you remember
I sat in the buggy and...
In the production part?
Yeah.
The buggy didn't move, so I did with the camera.
And I had to pantomime it because we didn't have the type of stuff we have today.
And no, and Dottie Mack saw you pantomime it and said, there's a great idea. She was the best at it, too.
Yeah, she was good.
That's you learn on that, and
You
I
did
guess.
all right, too.
Well, thank you. But the thing that Dottie taught me, she taught me how to do it. She said, never close your mouth.
Don't close your mouth and
I
turn
wonder
your
if
head.
it's too late, because I've been taking her advice all these years.
You want to try?
Yes. I don't know if I can remember this or not, but
I don't know if I can remember it, but they'll bear with us, I guess.
Please play for me that sweet melody. Mind the cracks, Clipper?
Please play for me
that sweet melody called doodly-doo, doodly-doo.
I like the rest, but what I like best is doodly-doo, doodly-doo.
The simplest thing, there isn't much to it. You don't have to sing, just doodly-doo it. I love it so, wherever I go. I doodly-doodly, doodly-doodly, doodly-doodly-doo.
I hope they get it in my key sometime.
Ruby, remember how nice I was? I always put it in my key. When I hit the airwaves in Cincinnati, there was a man who owned the airwaves in Cincinnati at that time. When Paul Dixon wasn't on, he was. And he became a national name. Even on Laugh-In, they had an Uncle Al. But I think a lot of you in this theater tonight were at Al Lewis's show with your children when they were just growing up. Probably you, Connie McCluskey, probably had yours up there. And Al Lewis and his wife, Wandy, who Paul Dixon dubbed as Wendy Wandy, that's W-E-N-D-Y, Wendy Wandy. And now he's a farmer, and he's pulling down about 40 cows a day out there. And it's still in his blood, though, is playing that guitar and said, Uncle Al says, stand up and jump around and do the hokey pokey. Would you welcome, please, a good friend of mine, two good friends of mine, Al and Wanda Lewis.
Hi, kids. Boy, did you grow up! Wow. For 35 years, I played this accordion on Channel 9 as Uncle Al, and it was always kind of frustrating to me because the audience I play to wanted to hear the music play like this. Hey, Uncle Al, we want to hear a train. And there was other kids that would say, how about the birds? And airplanes? Well, Juan and I motor home through Europe. They were playing accordions in France and in Germany and all over and up in Alaska. So tonight I want to stand up and play as Al Lewis. Little excerpts from countries we went through. The accordion over there. was Russia. And there's always that polka. Oh, I don't want her, you can have it. And you remember? Thank you. I could have never been Uncle Al, thank you, for 35 years without having this most beautiful, gracious, gorgeous, sensuous siren, Captain Wendy.
That was fantastic. Wow. Thank you. What a thrill it is to be up here. I'll tell you, I can't see any of you because of the lights, but you sound great. You know, it's been such a wonderful town, Cincinnati. Al and I came to town many, many years ago. Should I say it? Well, it was a long time ago. But actually, it's such a wonderful town, and it's done so much for the people in it. When we first came to town, it was about the time that WCPO and the television stations were going on the air, and all the live shows and how thrilling and exciting it was. I'm repeating Bob, but this is the way it started out. We were young, and it was a new business, and anything went. We learned the business from the ground up, I guess. And it gave so many children or young people an opportunity to be on the air and try it out and sing or dance or whatever their likes and desires and different things were. So and it's been wonderful for us too. Actually, with Al's accordion, and we'd met in art school, and our art, we painted sets, and I used to run camera or on the boom. This was right in the early days, of course, but we grew up with it, shall we say, and it's been fantastic. And also, now of course the Uncle Al Show was on for 35 years. That's a long run. Thank you. And what was so wonderful about it, I believe, the children on the show. We simply went and led them from place to place and doing this and singing and dancing and drawing, but it was the children's expressions, their dancing and singing that the people at home watched, and even a little child who was sitting all alone in front of a television set, mother being busy somewhere else possibly, but they felt like they were taking part with the children on the show, and so it was a wonderful experience. So we feel that we've been very lucky. And actually, as the Uncle Al Show, although it went off the air in '85, it has not stopped. It's going on possibly almost every day in Hillsboro, Ohio, because we have 11 grandchildren, and they go from here up to here. Now, it's a little hard sometimes when we're putting on a show in our living room to remember which one was which. So what we do, we put little name tags on them like we used to do on the Uncle Al Show. And speaking about that, as you heard Al play, he was doing this when we first met, and I remember he came down to ask for my hand in marriage, and he brought his accordion because my father loved music. You know? I guess it worked. I mean, here I am. But
Uh-oh, I have to go back. Mm-hmm.
So let's do a song that you might all recognize from our 35 years on the air.
Well, just quickly, two things happened in the Uncle Al career that stick in my mind. Somebody says, well, anything you really are, shook up about? We're still searching for a little girl that while my show was on the air, and she was sitting on my accordion. I always did this. I'd put kids on top and played and on my knees. And this one day, this little girl tinkled. Well, as I pressed the keys, they all sort of stuck. I called the insurance company in Chicago, and I talked to this agent who doesn't know Uncle Al from beans, and I had to explain to him that this could happen to me in my business. The damage was about $300, and they sent me a new policy down with a special clause, no tinkling in the accordion. Let's go back and see if you can remember some of our top tunes. Let's see. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you don't know how to show, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And then there was a, oh yeah, put your right hand in, you take your right hand out. I can't hear you singing, come on kids. And you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. And that's what it's all about. Now the left hand, kids. Put your left hand in, you take your left hand out. You put your left hand in and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. And that's what it's all about. And then our theme song we used for many years. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day. Thank you.
Terrific. It's waving time. We're going to turn our cameras around now. And if anybody's seated next to anyone you don't want to be seen with, you better move. We did that every day on the program, and we used to have people come in from New York. The show would be going real well until we get to it's waving time. And then, what the hell is that? Kept us in Coca-Cola for a number of years, however. I guess they didn't understand that. We were playing a show one night in Seymour, Indiana. We also played some small cities, but we were playing a show in Seymour, Indiana one night and staying at the Holiday Inn. We had to stay there because that's the only hotel they have in Seymour, Indiana, which is a wide spot in the road about 35 miles south of Indianapolis. And after the show was over, it was about 11:30 at night, and I went into the restaurant, which was about to close, and begged them to maybe fix me something to eat. And in a few minutes, one of the waitresses came over and said, "Mr. Braun, they want you at the switchboard." And I went and picked up the telephone, and the operator said, would you do me a favor? And I said, "What's that?" She said, "There's some guy who keeps calling here over and over and over again, saying he's Bob Hope, and he wants to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." And I went, it was Bob Hope calling from California, because the following day, on Saturday, in the afternoon, we were to open for 2 days at the Ohio State Fair, and I was Bob's MC and opening act, and his wife Dolores had taken ill. And Bob said, "Mom, I have a harder time getting you than I do getting Ronald Reagan." And I said, "Well, Bob, how often does Bob Hope call Seymour, Indiana?" He said, "Well, I suppose about as often as Bob Braun plays there." And what he wanted was, he said, "I need to borrow one of your singers for tomorrow because Dolores is ill." He said, "Who would you recommend?" And so I didn't hesitate a minute, because a young lady that I had actually met at the Provident Bank one day in line, I went down to catch my breath, and she was there to cash her check. And she had pigtails, Levi's on, kind of a funny little shirt, and looked like anything except show business. She turned around and she said, "You're Bob Braun, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "I'm Mary Ellen Tanner." She said, "Every time I get a chance to sing on your show, somebody else is emceeing. Are you ever there?" And I said, "Well, yes, as a matter of fact." She said, "Well, I want to sing on your program." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "What have you done?" She said, "Well, I sang on Nick Clooney's program." Well, that was good enough for me. By the way, Nick, thanks for that beautiful column in the paper. I really appreciated that yesterday. But I had her on the program the following day, and we hired her, and she was with me all the way up until the end. I happen to think she's one of the best talents ever to come out of Cincinnati. She should be a national star. And I want to have you give a real warm welcome to a young lady I'm very proud to call still a dear friend. She went on a trip to the Caribbean with our group last year and is going again next January. I'd like you to welcome on stage Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Bob. I love you. This is a great evening for you. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you. I'd like to do a song written by the great Jerome Kern. Oh, listen, sister, I love my Mr. Man, and I can't tell you why. There ain't no reason why I should love that man. It must be something that the angels did plan. Fish gotta swim, birds gotta fly. I gotta love one man till I die. Can't help loving that man of mine. Tell me he's lazy, tell me he's slow, tell me I'm crazy, well, maybe I know. Can't help loving that man of mine. When he goes away, that's a rainy day, but when he comes back, that day is fine. The sun will shine. He can come home as late as can be. Home without him ain't no home to me. Can't help loving that man of mine.
Mary Ellen Tanner.
Thank you, everybody. You're beautiful. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much.
By the way, I had worked with Bob about 16 straight years at the fair before that happened with Mary Ellen, and I knew the routine pretty well that he did with Dolores or whatever girl. So I taught it to Mary Ellen over the telephone so that when she met with Bob, she'd already know it, and we didn't tell him that. And he called me up at the hotel that day before the show, and he said, "That's the smartest girl I've ever seen. She caught on to my routine in about 5 minutes." But by the way, she did 3 numbers that night at the Ohio State Fair before 55,000 people and got a standing ovation. Mary Ellen Tanner. Mary Ellen, do something else. Indulge me for just 1 minute. Everybody has to have somebody open the door for them. In my case, the biggest door open was Ruth Lyons, of course, as we all well know. And she took me in like a second mother and taught me the trade. And I will always be grateful to her for the rest of my life. But years ago, right after I left Coney Island swimming pool, where my father thought that's the only thing I'd ever do in my life was be a lifeguard every summer, I met a young man in Cincinnati who was an English professor at the University of Cincinnati. And his daddy owned a bakery in Avondale. And there was a show starting on channel, at that time was Channel 7, which was later Channel 9, WCPO. And it was called Bride to Be, that Harris Rosedale used to MC. And they were looking for a boy vocalist. And Dave's daddy said, "See if Bob wants to be on that show." He said, "If he wants to be on it, I'll buy it." He bought the show as a sponsor with one contingency. That is, if he bought the show, I would be on it every week. And he later helped me out with the Arthur Godfrey Talent Scout show and has been a lifelong friend. And you never forget your roots, who gave you your start. And he's here tonight. Dave Wolf, love you like a brother. There he is. I thank you, David. Well, Food for Your Soul is about to come up right now. He's a trombone player. I mean, par excellence. But in addition to that, he also just happens to be a great entertainer. And he used to do a song about once a month on our show. As soon as we could coax him into learning another one, he'd do it. Whether it's Old Man Time, or what was that one, Ed? You dress like a bum, and you, Nobody. Oh, that was, I don't know what you're going to sing tonight. But I am so thrilled to have a chance to introduce him one more time, and it's really food for my soul, and I think yours as well. Would you welcome on stage Mr. Eddie Benet?
You got to see your mama every night. You can't see mama at all. You got to see your mama, and I mean treat her right. She won't be home when you call. She don't want that kind of a man that works on the installment plan. You gotta see your mama every night. You can't see mama at all. Here's the way the whole week. Monday night she sat alone. Tuesday night you didn't phone. Wednesday night you didn't call. Thursday night the same old stall. Friday night you dodged her path. Saturday night you took your bath. Sunday night you called on her, but you brought 3 gals for company. You gotta see your mama every night. You can't see mama at all. You got to see your mama, and I mean treat her right. She won't be home when you call. Here's the bottom line. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Show me a man that a woman can trust. You got to see your mama every night. You can't see mama at all. I mean, no, you can't see mama at all. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Wouldn't this, with all these people, make a great television special sometime and bring them all back, put them on the air? Just terrific, Eddie. Absolutely terrific. One of the most disappointing days in my life, and I never did really totally get over it, was the day that Marion Spellman said, "May I see you after the show?" She came into the office and with tears in her eyes, and she said, "I'm going to leave the program." Well, if you go back far enough to know, when Marion was on that program, there was a chemistry there that you can't write, you can't make, you can't discover. It has to find its own way. Between Marion and me, that made it one of the most fun things we did. We even got a soapbox for her so that she'd get off on, like, talk about today's political scene. She'd have already had that settled on top of that soapbox on our program. We literally got a soapbox and brought it out. And as soon as she'd start ranting and raving about something she read in the morning paper, I'd go over to the side, bring the soapbox out, she'd get up on there and expound on things, because in addition to being a beautiful woman with great talent, she also is very, very intelligent and reads the paper every day and listens to the news all day long. So we had quite a time adjusting to the fact that she wasn't there. But every time we share the stage since, it's always a thrill for me. Could have gone to Broadway. She had a lot of offers for that, but she chose to stay here at home and raise her son Steve until he got to the age of maturity. And didn't take the offers that she had to be on Broadway, but she had the talent and the voice for it. I remember one time we were at Riverfront Stadium doing a duet on the All-Star baseball game, and they had Marion and me do a duet on the Star Spangled Banner, and it was old Carsley Field, before Riverfront Stadium. They didn't put the words out as they do now. I mean, the singers today have no problem. They run them on the board, and as long as you can see, you can sing. And in those days, Marion had written down the words to the Star Spangled Banner on the palm of her hand. She wrote it on this hand so that while I stood over here, both of us had access to those words. It was a very hot day that July. We did the, "Oh, say, can you see any bedbugs?" Did the whole thing, going right into it. And we looked down to get the next line, and it was just a river of blue going past her wedding ring, touching her wrist and dripping off her elbow. But we made it through it anyway and didn't pull a Robert Goulet, did we, Marion? When we what?
We rode the elephant at the zoo. That was so much fun. I enjoyed that.
Of all the things we did, that sticks out in your mind the most?
Well, I'm a simple person. You know, I like these homey things.
But you remember the elephant?
I did. Yes, I can see it. That was fun.
What are you singing?
What am I singing, Clifford? See what happens to you when you get older. The brain goes.
I know. I look at those commercials I did about 10 years ago that they're still running. I feel like I got another son I haven't met.
This Is All I Ask is what I'm going to sing. Are you familiar with this song?
Oh, yes.
No, you're not.
Never heard of it.
As I approach the prime of my life, I find I have the time of my life, learning to enjoy at my leisure all the simple pleasures, and so I happily concede. This is all I ask. This is all I need. Young, handsome men, walk a little slower when you walk by me. Lingering sunset, stay a little longer by the lonely sea. Children everywhere, when you shoot at bad men, shoot at me. Take me to that strange enchanted land. Grown-ups seldom understand. Wandering rainbows leave a bit of color for my heart to own. Stars in the sky make my dreams come true before the night has flown, and let the music play as long as there's a song to sing, and I will stay younger than spring. Clifford. And let the music play as long as there's a song to sing, and I will stay younger. I will stay younger. I will stay younger than Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Clifford. Thank you.
Marion Spellman. Thank you, Marion. You know, we who are from Cincinnati really love this place. And no matter where you go, here, there, high and wide, you still want to come home. And I can liken that to the fact that a lot of the basketball players with the Royals still live here. Cincinnati Reds who are retired still live here. Bengals who have retired still live here. Kenny Anderson for a prime example. And you also find that a lot of people in show business still live here. Well, here's a man who made it in New York, made it across the country, came to Cincinnati and stayed and played on WLW for a while, and then went back to New York and played for all the major stars and could have probably still be doing it today if he wanted to. Where did he come to retire? Cincinnati. Ladies and gentlemen, he's Mr. Fountain Square. Here is the magic of Bert Farber. Bert Farber. Bert Farber. Do what? Do I want to what?
Sing a chorus of all the things you are with me, like we did 36 years ago.
Has it been that long? I'm not that old.
Well, then we're both lying.
We're both lying. It's been 36 years, 1957. I'd love to, Bert, but we were 2 diamonds past Ruby, and Murgatroyd is having a cow back there. And he said, he said, Donnie Mac was right. You do have your mouth open.
Thank you very much.
If I forget the words, will you help me? I haven't sung this thing in 10 years. Sure. They asked.
You
Bert. It's too high. Too high. What key are you? You are the promised kiss of springtime that sprinkles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you, and someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine. Bless you. You know, the Historical Society is doing such a remarkable job of preserving the history of Colortown Television, America, with Cincinnati. We were the first with color, first to do baseball in color. And with all the live programming that emanated from here, starting all the way back to Mal Perkins and the soap operas, there are so many things that have happened here that this city has contributed probably more to show business than even the metropolitan areas of New York or Los Angeles, because right here in the heart belt of America, you embrace these people like they were part of your family, and it's a tradition that is being preserved, now that it's not chic to do it live, but preserved by the Historical Society, and I am so proud to have been inducted tonight, and I thank you on behalf of all the previous people and myself and the rest of the night for making it possible that our memories will live on for the rest of our lives and then on into the next generation. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts very, very much. This girl and I have sung on the back of more manure wagons and county fairs than you'll ever know in your life. Because they usually don't have a stage when you go out to do a county fair. And so they pull up a manure wagon, sweep it off pretty good, put the microphone up on there and say, go for it. Well, Bonnie Lou and I probably covered more miles together in an automobile traveling around the tri-state area than any other two people you know. One thing I learned after the very first show we did together, nobody can follow her. That's why we have her on in this position. I mean, this girl is absolutely sensational. And again, even today, like we learned at Kings Island last Christmas time, you can't follow Bonnie Lou. She's a onesie. And here she is right now.
You.
Bonnie Lou.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You know, we all get a little bit older all the time. Well, that's natural, isn't it? In fact, it really shook me up when I came in here this evening. Of course, it was a terrible storm, and I'm trying to keep my hair right so I'd look nice for y'all. And some man standing there out there in the lobby, and he was staring at me, and he said, "You look like Bonnie Lou." And I said, "Well, that's who I am. I know I've been off of TV for a long time." But I said, "Yeah, that's who I am." And he said, "Well, I want to tell you, Bonnie, you don't look so good up close." That tore me up. Yes, well, let's get going. Right, Bill McCluskey, the man who discovered me. Yes. Yippee-yay, God bless him, I appreciate it. Yippee-yay, yippee-oh, end of day, oh, home we go. 'Cause the cowgirl has to sing, and a cowgirl has to yell, yoo-hoo, or each new day is born on the prairie or the wide open range I roam. When the sun to the hills goes a-hiding, there'll always be someone when I come home. Yippee-yay, well, yippee-oh, end of day, oh, home we go. 'Cause the cowgirl has to sing, a-da-da-da-dee, and a cowgirl has to yell, yoo-hoo, or her heart would break inside of her at the gate of the home corral. Thank you very much.
Bonnie Lou. Thank you, Bonnie. Before we ring the curtain down and have the closing feature on our program, there's a man I'd like to thank who has produced this program tonight, and a fellow who has great interest in young people and their futures, and as a college professor did that. He worked part-time doing that while he was also working during the daytime producing the BBS, as we affectionately used to call our show before they changed it to Braun and Company. He was with me for 14 years, and it wasn't long after that, about 3 years after he was gone, that the show went off the air. I don't know what would happen if he had stayed, because he, over those 14 years, was innovative. He, over those 14 years, brought quality, and I never had to worry that he'd book a guest that I wouldn't bring into your living room in person and live. And I'd like you to show your appreciation for his producing and directing of the show tonight, Dick Murgatroyd. Hey, Muggs. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to take this opportunity, as we were beginning to have the close of our program, to again thank the Historical Society, and especially you, on a night where lightning and strikes and the houses catch on fire and the streets get flooded out. We got to have a show. I guess that's what they meant when they said it's going to be a strange day when Bob Braun comes back to town. But someone said, why don't you come back home? And I said, to do what? Find me a job, I'll catch the next plane. But at any rate, having this opportunity to be with you tonight and to share some of our experiences with you, and to share also the talent of some people who helped to make the Ruth Lyons Show, the Paul Dixon Show, and my show. It's been a real thrill for us to entertain you, and I can tell by your generous, your very warm applause that you've enjoyed it too. We're going to welcome Nancy James back on stage.
As a storm cloud gathers far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to our land that's free.